I mean, something when you said early in the interview was, functional music versus artistic music. I think you call it. Uh, I mean, could one make the argument that today's hit songs, whatever, like top 10, to a large degree sounds like functional music? You know what I mean? Without sounding lame.
Yeah, no, I think it's a valid thought.
Mm.
I would argue that it is not function music because there's a difference between what it sounds like
Mm.
and correct me if I'm wrong. What I assume you're saying is like it doesn't sound like it's as deeply artistic from a quality perspective and as well as the Beatles, right? Is
Right.
that kind of what you're getting at, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's more formulaic, et cetera, et cetera. Right. And while whether that's true or not, and you'll find people obviously on both sides of that argument, what's important is why we value that music, right? And it's artistic music because what we value is that this singer wrote that song and created it and worked with this producer and made it, and I care about the whole picture, and I'm listening it to, and I listen to it and I like it for music's sake, right? Because it's about the music. Whereas if it were more functionally valued, we wouldn't care about that as much. We would care about, well, what does it accomplish, right? Does it support the video that it's behind? Does it make this podcast more effective? And those, but I don't really care who made it and why it was done. It's just, it is what it is. And so, again, there's a difference between what one might think of as the quality or the artistry of piece of music and the artistic or functional value of that music. And different people can value the same piece of music on functionally or artistically. The same person can change that value depending on, or valuation, so to speak, depending on what they're using it for, right? So it might be song by Taylor Swift might be valued artistically if when it's being listened to on the radio. But if someone's just saying, well, I want to put a song behind a video and I want to use this song, well, then it's a functional value, right? And so the same person can value each piece of music differently depending on the circumstance.
Right.
And that's, I think one of the things that makes music so wonderful as a field, but it also makes the ability to have these arguments and a little bit difficult because there's no permanent definition or standard of anything, right? The same piece of music can be viewed differently depending on what the use case is, depending on who's looking at it, depending on who likes it, etc. And so that's why it's so important that we have core truths that we agree on, or even just core definitions, right? And not to say that my definitions should be the standard for the world. They're the definitions that I use. And if we're at least sharing the same common language around how we discuss these things, then we can have this debate, because so much of it also is just philosophical, right? There are plenty of differing opinions that are equally valid depending on your philosophy, but there are also plenty of opinions that are equally invalid because they're based on false logic or assumptions that aren't facts. And as the saying goes, you're entitled to your own opinion, but not to your own facts.
Yeah.
And that's what's important in this conversation, in the debate around technology and music, is that we are clear what is a fact, what is an opinion, what is an argument, what is a truth, and as long as we're clear about those things, then we can have a really, really powerful and fascinating debate and argument about it, where the goal is not even to win, but to advance our understanding and perspective on the topic.